Okay, afternoon everybody. I'm going to be doing New Look 6859. I'm going to do it in a medium for my husband. I am actually making about a 3/4, 2/3 leg length here down in Florida. You don't really want long pants, so he just wants me to do them like right at the knee. Okay, and this is the material, and it's 100% cotton. This will have buttonholes and pockets, and you will have to make a tie for them. Okay, so let me get everything set up and we'll start. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take my front piece, and I'm going to put my safety pins in so I know this is the front piece. And then get a couple pieces of interfacing, and we're going to put interfacing where the buttonholes need to go. I just take a couple safety pins and just pin them in the front. And once the buttonholes are in, then you know it's the front, but sometimes if you walk away from your sewing machine and you're like, okay, which one was the front and the back? Okay, so you're just gonna mark where these are gonna go. So just cut a little piece of interfacing. I use really lightweight. And just press it on where the buttonholes are gonna be. My birds are going nuts. Okay, then on the outside, just mark where your buttonholes are gonna be. Everybody knows I use the heat pin, so I don't mark them before I sew or iron. I got to kind of do this twice, but I'm so used to it, it doesn't bother me anymore. So just mark your buttonholes. And then we're going to go over and make the buttonhole. Okay, when I make my buttonholes, I use a piece of scrap material first and run and just make one buttonhole on the scrap to be sure that it's working. So let me do that. Okay, and that looks really good. And then just take your seam ripper and slowly open it up. And there you go. Okay, let me make mine. Now, usually when I make my buttonhole, I will put a pin right where I want it to start so I get it even. And I drop my needle down, and then I take my pin out. Okay, now get your back piece, and we're gonna sew one front and one back at the inner legs. Okay, once you have that done, sew them at 5/8. Okay, come on back to your ironing board and iron your seams. And then you're going to put right sides together. So this is my front. And this is my front. And we're going to pin, I call it the U. So match up your seams here. And your notches. You're gonna hear my bird. It's almost dinner time for them. So pin this up. And then you're gonna sew this 5/8 seam, the U. And then go back, and from notch to notch, you can either sew on the same seam line or go 1/8 below it and sew that once again, and it just reinforces it. And then we will be putting on the pockets. And then I'll have to go feed my birds. So be sure you have all your raw edges together. Get that a little bit closer. There we go. Okay, sew your U 5/8, then come back from notch to notch and sew again. Okay, once you have that done, from the notches, you can take pinking shears, which I have mine, and you can just trim from notch to notch, and I usually take about a half off. So that's my back. And this is my front. Get it opened. There we go. Now it had us with like 2 little dots here to leave open, and that's where your elastic would go through. I don't do that. I always just go through my buttonhole with my elastic, and that way the seam is, there's just not a little open seam that can rip open. I just go right through the elastic. So just open up these seams. Okay, and we're going to put the pockets on. So you're gonna have 4 pockets. So this is my back. Okay, this is my front. So I have to get my pattern and mark where these are gonna go. And you will see 2 dots here. And that is where you need to mark if you have it already. And that's where the pocket's gonna go. And we have to do this to front and the back piece, because there's gonna be 4 pieces of material. Get my back here and do that. And do the same with your pockets. If you haven't done it yet. And then we're going to sew the pockets on. Okay. Okay, now find your notch and line up your notch and your little holes or dots for your pants, and I'm right on. Pin them on both sides. So get your other one. Be sure that this notch is inwards. Okay, match your notch. And then just check with your pins if you're on your dot there. And I am. And you have to do this to the back also. There's my dot, and I'm right on. Okay, so go and sew this 5/8 seam, and then go to your back and do the exact same thing. Okay, come back and pin on your back, your pockets. Get my notch here. Okay, and pin them so it's right sides together. Check your dots. And then sew those up. Now you're going to sew your pockets together. So all the way around up to this seam right here. You're going to sew your pocket. So just match your notches. Be sure this is even, the top of your pocket and the top of your waistband. And that way it'll be nice and even. So this would be a 5/8 going around your pocket. Okay, once you have your pocket sewn, you're going to pin the side of your pants. Now, where your dots are, where your pocket is, you're not gonna sew here and here. This is gonna be left open. This would be a 5/8 seam. And then just pin it all the way down. So start up here to the dot, back stitch, skip this, come to your next dot, back stitch, and all the way down on both sides. Okay, be sure your pocket seam is going towards your pocket. If you want to top stitch the front, just come out a little, come all the way down, and then back in. And it'll just make it look like it's squared. For pajama pants, I usually don't do that. I mean, it's pajama pants. But if you want to do that, you can. So this is what you should have so far. Okay, now we're gonna do the waistband. And I usually turn my pants inside out. And I'm gonna turn under a 1/4 inch all the way around the waistband. Be sure that your seams are open. And just go around and turn about a 1/4 inch down. Okay, I usually take some of my heat bond. It's very light. And I put it next to my seam and sew it down. Or press it down, I mean. So that way when we put the elastic and the tie through, you're not fighting it near the seam. So just press that down. So get all your seams if you have this tape. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at Walmart. I think it's Stitch Wickery. So every seam you have, like near the pockets and everything, just press it down. It'll save you a bunch of hassle when you have to put the tie and the elastic through. Okay, let me get this done. Okay, once you get that done, turn down like 1 1/2, 1 3/4, closer to 1 1/2, and pin that down, press it and pin it down, and sew it. I guess I didn't turn on the camera. Okay, once you get all that done, put your elastic through one buttonhole, but come out the same buttonhole that you went in, and that way you won't have the elastic on the outside. So you want to have it in the same hole. Okay. Now I used 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna run and have my husband try these on and see where he needs to be. And then we'll sew this up, and then we have the hem left, and that's it. I'm gonna take my front pins off because I don't need them anymore, my safety pins. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, once you get your elastic through, overlap it about 1 inch. And then you're gonna sew down this edge and down this edge, and then sew downwards. And that way you're making like an H, and it will hold it a lot better. So I just put my work behind me, and I'll start sewing it. I kind of hook my elastic over my foot, and I'll start sewing. Okay, and you'll end up with something like this. So there's my stitch, stitch, and then my stitch across. So then I just kind of bring this around. I'm gonna have to push that little piece in. Get the elastic in. And then we're gonna make the ties. There we go. Now it's in. Okay, and then just stretch out the pants. So you'll have that. Okay, so now you need a couple pieces about 2.5 by 40, 42. So I just take my scrap that I have left from cutting the side of the pants. I have a nice strip here. And I'll just measure it 2 by 40. And turn it inside out so I can see my marks. So cut that, and I'll be right back. Okay, once you have those pieces, sew a 5/8 down here to put them together. And I'm just doing a 5/8. Okay, open up your seam. And you're essentially going to make like bias tape. So just fold this in half lengthwise. Be sure you get that seam even. Okay, once you have that done, you're gonna turn each end to this fold. First thing though to do is turn your ends about 1 inch and press them down. Okay, then turn this down to almost the fold. And then when you get all that done, come back and turn this one almost to the fold. and then turn this upwards and press it and clip it, and then just sew it all the way down. Alrighty, the first thing to do before you sew this is sew about 2 inches to the end, and that way your sewing machine won't have a hard time. If you start here, it's just gonna buckle. So if you just start it a couple inches before that and sew it, it goes right through. Then come back and just pick up where you started and sew all the way down. Okay, once you have that done, thread it through one buttonhole and then out the other, and then just hem these up. Turn under 1/4 and then about 1 inch on your legs, and you'll be done. Okay, my battery's going low, so thank you for watching this video, spending some time with me. Tomorrow I'll put out a video for another free pattern for next month. And please like, share, subscribe, comment, and you all have a great evening.